Hey everybody, I'm Kelly from Bespoke Creative Design. I hope you're all well and you've had a good week. If you haven't popped into one of my videos before, just to let you know, each week I've been making a crafting video with the aim to help people through lockdown if they get a little bit bored, using materials that are found around the home to avoid any expensive trips to these pricey arts and crafts stores. As we're coming in towards Christmas, I'm seeing Christmas decorations going up all down my street, so I thought we'd head into some Christmassy crafts. I said about finding materials at home. These are materials I did have in my home, but then I do keep a lot of tut, as I'm told. But just to show you today's crafts, which are for adults and little ones alike, but if little ones are doing it, please adults, can you give them a hand, because a glue gun will be needed. They're made from socks basically, so these are just Primani socks, good old Primark, and so plain white socks and some lounge socks, you know, those soft sort of cuddle socks that you can cozy up in the evening. Again, I think these ones were from the clothing section in Poundland or Primark, I can't remember which, but very, very, very cheap. So that's the basis of what is going to be these little Christmas gnomes. So I've got a little boy gnome there with his beard and his little button nose that you can see, and a little Mrs. Gnome. She's got her plaits and a little dress there. So again, they are scraps that I did have around the house. If you haven't got these, they are really, really cheap to get hold of and not difficult to get hold of at all. So let's crack on straight away. It's actually a really simple thing to do. It's a no-sew, gluing only craft. So don't panic when you see it and think, oh my gosh, I've got to sit here and thread needles. There's no sewing involved at all, which is why I'm doing it. Useless with the needle and cotton. So to get started, as I said, you'll need some white socks or cream coloured socks, or whatever you want to use for the body of your gnome. And what you're going to do, I'll take one of these and tell my son has got huge feet, you don't need to use an adult sock. You can make little tiny gnomes out of children's socks, whatever you might have. And what you want to do is cut your sock just where the heel starts. I cut actually from the middle of the heel across, and then you get rid of this part here where the foot goes into the sock. You don't need that part, you want the top part by the toes. So I'll show you the shape that you're going to be left with, which is something like that. And there we go, so the toes are still intact. So you've got this sock there. And just to make your life easier, we've got to fill it with rice basically, and you could sit here and hold it open and pour the rice in, but it tends to go everywhere. So if I just tilt the camera down slightly, I use a yogurt pot or a pint glass or something tall that I can pop the sock into and pull the edge of the sock around the edge of the pot with the sock inside there. And then again, really, really cheap, you might have this already in your cupboard, 45p, Asda's own rice. Fill up your sock. When it comes to the top, if you have used a yogurt pot or a glass, be careful with glasses obviously, you don't want them to shatter. Just give a little push and then fill it up again. There's more room in there than it gives you to start off with. There we go. I'm at the top, and I'm going to take it out of my yogurt pot and just bash it down. Again, I'll tilt the camera slightly. Bash it down because I actually want to put, I could leave him that size, it could be a dinky little gnome, but I want to put a little bit more rice into him. I'm just going to open that up. This is exactly what I said not to do, but I want him to be slightly more full. Put a bit more rice in. There. Move that out of the way. Just bash that rice down. I'm still here. Right, so now to seal that off at the top, I'm just going to use an elastic band. It's not going to show. Let me tilt this back up. Or you can tie it off with some string or a sandwich tie or something like that, just to hold that in place. Just wrapping that elastic band around a few times. There we go. And then you don't want all this extra bit here at the top. You want some but not all, so I'm going to trim that down. And this is where the glue gun comes in. I'm only going to give the one disclaimer. Please, if you're a young one, get an adult to help you with the glue gun. I don't want any burns out there. So here comes the glue gun. Again, I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to. Saw glue guns in Poundland on Saturday. They're £2. So you can go and get yourself a glue gun, and the glue sticks packs are £2 as well. So a real bargain. And all I'm going to do is put some glue around the top there to fold over. You see that? I've got to work quickly because it dries very, very quickly. And then I just fold that edge over onto the glue just to make sure it's fully secure. Glue gun sticks literally immediately. So there we go. So you end up with this little squidgy sort of beanbag shape. And then what you're going to do, I'm going to tilt the camera down again. There's going to be a lot of that today, sorry. Tilt the camera down, and you want to make this little bobble nose here that you can see. And the way you do that, I go halfway in the middle there of my beanbag and grab up some of that rice. And you can make the nose as big as you want it to be. The more rice you grab, the bigger the nose it will be. I'm holding that in place, and then I take an elastic band. Again, if you haven't got elastic bands, you could use a bit of string and tie it round. I'm just grabbing hold of that little rice nose. You can see there. Wrap it around with the band one more time. There we are. You end up with a little bobble nose, like so. Next thing we need to do is destroy yet another pair of socks. They're only cheapies, that's okay. The lighting in here is terrible. Let me move that over a little bit, less glary. There we are. So now we move on to our lounge sock, which again, I'm going to cut off at the heel, but I'm going to give you two options here. This is making the hat. So, cut it off at the heel, cutting right through the middle of the heel. You can either use the toe end part of the sock to make a hat, so that you've got an enclosed bobble there at the top. What I find easier is to use the other end of the socks, and I'll explain why in a moment. If you can, the instructions I'm going to give apply for either end of the socks that you use, but I'm going to use the elasticated end where the foot goes into the sock, and I'll show you why, but you can use that end as well. Save it for another model. The reason I like the elasticated end is when you pull it over the sock, it kind of stays in place, and you can move it around without it coming away. And what you're going to do is pull that sock down right over to where his nose starts, like so, and then gather together the top. Let me tilt the camera down and put your bobble in here now. I'm going to use some lengths of wool, 3 lengths of wool there, just to tie a little bow around, like so. Pull it in tight, like that. But as you can see, if I pull this one over, this one was using the toe end, and that gives you an enclosed bobble rather than the open bobble. Okay, and that is his hat already on, and you can cut these if you want to, like that. Okay, that's his hat done. And tilt up again. So now we're going to move on to the beard. I did say it was really, really quick. The length of the beard, it can be as long as you want. I've taken a piece of A4 card and just, it's slightly short of A4. A4 was about there. So what would that be, about 25 centimetres long? And all I've done is wrap some wool, the colour, whatever colour you want your beard to be, around the card like so. And then I'm going to slide it off like this. So I've got that loop of wool there. Don't worry about the strings hanging down. And then I'm going to take another length of wool to tie it off in the middle. There we go. You can see I've made a cross there. I'm going to tie that off. With 2 knots. Like so. Then you're going to cut through all these loops here with a pair of scissors. Like that, to make his beard hang down on at each end. There. Let me bring you back up. There we are. Hello again. So there we have the beard. Now what I do before I glue anything down, I position it all to check that it's in where I want it to be. So the beard, believe it or not, starts underneath the rim of his hat. I have to tilt down again. I'm going to lift the camera, lift the rim of this hat up and tuck the beard just above his nose, like so, and then arrange it so that the beard starts to hang down around that little bobble nose that we've got. Now I haven't glued anything in place, and to be honest that would stay like that. I will glue it though at the end when I'm confident everything is where I want it to be. So the other thing we're going to do is add some little embellishments. You might have some buttons at home. I've got a jar of buttons. I had some gold buttons you might have. And some jingle bells from a craft project that you could use. Anything that you might want, a little cutout from a Christmas card, anything that you might think would be quite sweet, just to decorate the top of his hat there. So I've got some jingle bells. So let me tilt down again his beard out. And the boy one is very easy to do. It's very, very quick. Oh, this is where I'm going to burn my fingers. Here we go. Doing it too fast. One bell. Trying to position it, but I can't see what I'm doing. One. Second bell. Two. And I'll put one more on, I think. Three. Like so. Put that one there. Now I'm not going to bore you by showing you what I'm going to do next. What I would do now is lift up this elastic, and just above his nose there, put a squirt of glue to stick that beard in place. And then you can, if you want to be really sure, glue gun underneath, lifting up underneath that elastic. But to be honest, the elastic holds really, really tight. If you're using the sock end, the enclosed bobble end, I would say yes, definitely glue gun all the way round underneath his hat, like so. And that is the little boy elf, little bearded elf, finished, like so. I'll show you both. This is the enclosed one, the enclosed bubble. So this one was definitely glued around the rim because it had no elastic. And there's the other one with the elastic end. So both parts of the sock work. Now moving on to the girl gnome. Let me move this one out of the way, pop in here. Here she is. She's made in exactly the same way. So rather than making it all again, body made in the same way. Grab the rice nose, tied it with the elastic band. Take your sock as you did before, use whichever end you want. This is the unenclosed end. And this time, rather than tying it off with wool, I had some lace. Just thought it was a little bit more feminine. Tied off a little knot at the top there. And again, decorated with the jingle bells that I had. Now, just to make the girl, the only difference really, there's two things. Let me tilt down again. Is this one hasn't got a beard. She's got a plait, as you can see. There she is. She's got plaits either side. And to do that, back up, oh, up and down, I'm sorry. You take some wool, and I'm sorry if I'm teaching you something you already know. It's just in case you don't know how to do it, but fast forward through if you do. You decide how long you want the plait from one end over the top of her head and down the other end to be. And you can do that by measuring it around the doll, or around the gnome, and adding a bit extra, because when you plait, obviously the wool becomes shorter as you plait it. So mine, when I did my one over here, it was about the length of my tip of my finger to my shoulder. And then all you do, you just keep grabbing that same length from end to end to end to end until you make your lengths of wool as thick as you want your plait to be. And when you get an amount like that, it should be thicker than that, I'll show you in a minute. You cut it off at the bottom, and then you return back to the top where you've got all these loose ends, and then you tie the end up like so. Again, I'll just put a double knot in there, and all those loops you trim off. I want to leave some because we want some little tassels at the end of the plait, like so. Let me get rid of this rubbish. And then at the bottom, because you want to plait your sort of ream of wool, if you come to the very end, trim off all those loops rather than cutting through them, it's easier. And then you're ready to plait your wool by dividing it into three. Now the easiest way to do this is either to get somebody to hold the end for you and plait down, or tape it like so, tape it to the table and plait it down. Or if you've got a clipboard, slip this knot underneath the clipboard and plait it down. You can do it by holding it in your hands, but it is a little bit fiddly just by bringing the outside into the middle. I'm sure you know how to plait. I'm not going to teach you how to do that. So you will plait all the way down your wool, and when you get to the bottom, tie it off, and you'll end up with one long plait like so. The little tassely ends, which is exactly what you want. So if I bring over the body of the girl that I was doing, there she is. Again, because I've used the elastic end, it's really easy to position things underneath the hat. I'm tilting down again, bear with me. Here we go. The plait goes above her nose, underneath the rim of the hat there, and we'll tuck down like so. Now that's the hair. What I probably should have shown you first is how to do the dress, because these might get in the way. I managed to cope with it okay, but if you're not sure, go with the dress, which I'm going to show you how to do now. Again, I had some lace at home. You might have some material, you might have some old net curtains you want to use. I measure around the body of my lady, and then I add another half a length, because what I want to do is pleat this as I stick it down to her body. Let me show you the finished one. So she's got little pleats in her skirt, rather than just wrap it round flat. It just makes it a bit more interesting. And it's ever so easy to do, again with a glue gun. And this is a nightmare to do with lace, because as soon as you put your finger on the blob of glue, it goes right through the lace and takes the skin off your finger. So be careful, be warned. I'm going to start in the middle under her nose, and I'm just putting, try to do it as quickly as I can because it dries really quick. Line of glue, where's the light? There, underneath her nose there. And I take the middle of my lace and stick it to the glue, like so. Trying not to burn my fingers as I go. So it's stuck just underneath her nose. Then what you're going to do is you make a pleat by coming back on yourself, like so. Make like a little fold, and again you glue gun that into place all the way around until she's stuck. I'm not going to do the whole skirt because you'll die of boredom watching me sticking and burning myself as I do it. But basically you're going to pleat that dress all the way round her body. And if you've got any excess at the back, again you can cut that off. So imagine that stuck down. All I would do is lift the edge of the hat over the top of the dress to cover up any glue marks that you might have there, and it's all hidden then, no problem. So imagine my dress is all stuck. Let me move it out of the way for a sec, like so. And I'm happy where everything is. Again, you don't have to, but I would advise you lift up the hat, you glue down the hair by putting a little line of glue above the nose and sticking the hair down, and then pulling the elasticated hat over the top. Again, if you haven't used the the elasticated end of the sock, glue all the way round to the back, and all the way back round to the nose. So let me pop her out of the way because I know she's not finished, but I'll show you the finished article one more time, like so. So she's exactly the same as the boy one, same embellishment, and she's just got a little bow, and she's got plaits in the dress. I'll hold them both up so you can have a look. There you go, your Christmas gnomes all finished. I hope you enjoy making them. Have a go, they are so easy, and I'll come up with something festive hopefully for next week. If you want to catch any of my previous videos, please go to www.bespokecreativedesign.co.uk. They're all loaded onto there. They're also on YouTube, and again you can find the link through the Facebook page, which is Bespoke Creative Design. In the meantime, stay safe, enjoy putting up your Christmas decorations if that's what you're up to this evening. Take care, and I'll catch you all next week. Bye now.